Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the Sing Confidently, Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here. I hope that you enjoyed your Easter weekend when you're listening to this. I hope that you were able to relax, spend time connecting with family, friends, loved ones, maybe even going to church, spending time in the Word, reflecting on the power of the resurrection of Christ, which is what we celebrate in Easter. And as a believer, I really just as I've gotten older, I've really appreciated Easter more and more as I have grown in my faith and my connection with God. And so, yeah, just I don't know why I just wanted to share that with you guys that that's something that's really, really powerful to me is reflecting on the fact that the resurrection, that coming back to life, that happened, that Christ did, and that because of that we have life when we believe in him. It's like, wow, transformative. And so as I've gotten older and grown in my faith, that's something that I've kind of dug into more, and it's helped me appreciate Easter more when you think about there's a feeling of renewal of coming back to life, especially with the spring. Like it lines up perfectly of things are blooming, things are coming back to life. And so, yeah, if you celebrated that this weekend, I hope that you were able to really celebrate beautifully, and that you got to connect with people and connect with God, and that yeah, you had a restful, peaceful weekend. I want to say that I'm sorry I did not give you guys a Thursday episode. It was actually a restful weekend, but the week itself was insane. So it's been restful the weekend, but the last week I got to teach a workshop in Raleigh, North Carolina, in it's a spring break workshop for kids who are on spring break, and it was a musical theater workshop, but it was literally like all day, every day. It was super intense, and even afterwards, I would go home and teach voice lessons online. And so it was just so insane, and I wasn't able to get a podcast out for you guys. But I am excited for the upcoming episodes. I have vocal warm-ups for you guys in regards to breath support for specific warm up, like a specific riff that I'm going to teach you guys. I'm going to break down for you guys that I'm so excited about. And tips for singers with, with the allergies coming, spring allergies that are already here. I have some vocal health tips for you guys coming up. So, a lot of good stuff, and also more interviews coming up. I hope you guys liked the one from last week with Simone, who she is just so inspiring and empowering, and also has so many practical tips for building confidence. So I hope you guys were able to listen to that episode. That was, I think, episode 319. She's like a TEDx speaker, best-selling author, super, super cool. So I hope you were able to listen to her episode, and definitely stick around because we do have more interviews coming up, really inspiring stuff, as well as the vocal health tips, like I mentioned, and warm-ups and the riff that I'm breaking down. So definitely be subscribed. I promise that I'm on a as an overall on an overall view, bird's eye view. I'm always consistent with this podcast, and I have been for the last almost 5 years now. So I will never not be back. Even if I take a little break here and there, I will always come back, and I will always connect with you guys. And part of that is I love connecting with you guys in my Facebook group. It's a free group. So if you aren't in that Facebook group, definitely go join, because a lot of the things that I talk about on the episodes, I take from people who have commented in the Facebook group, or when you join the Facebook group, there are a couple of questions to answer in order to get into the Facebook group. How many times can I say Facebook group? I said that so many times. You know what I'm talking about, the group. So there are membership questions to get in. And the reason I do that is because I want to get to know you guys. And it helps me know what topics to talk about on the podcast, because a lot of the people coming into the Facebook group are also podcast listeners, or hopefully future podcast listeners. So I'm like, yes, let's get all the questions answered on the podcast, long form. And then I can just talk to you guys in the Facebook group as well. And so this question today that I'm answering, this topic today that I'm answering, is something that I've seen recurring in my Facebook group, membership questions, because a lot of people coming to the Facebook groups are Facebook group. My gosh, I said it so many times. A lot of people coming to the group are adults who have been singing or used to sing and are coming back to singing as they've gotten older. or they always wanted to sing, but they just don't know if it's too late. They don't know if they actually can. So I want to make sure that you guys are in the group if you aren't, because that's how I'm going to be able to answer your questions. Like the episodes that I'm doing about breath support and stuff like that, it's because I see that in the membership questions when you join. Like if you're asking questions about breath, if you're asking questions about singing in your higher register, about expanding your range. If you're asking questions about whatever it is you're asking about, I'm gonna make an episode about it eventually. So make sure that you get in the group so that way you can ask your question and get your question answered in depth in your own special little episode. So you can go to creativelybyestelle.com slash community. creativelybyestelle.com/community. There we go. Keeping you on your toes. Okay. So go there to check out the group so that you can join. So the question that I'm answering today, the topic of today's episode is actually inspired by my Facebook group, as a lot of the episodes actually are. I just don't always mention it. But I get a lot of inspiration from you guys asking questions and sharing things in there. And so the thing that I want to talk to you about, and the thing I want to say, right off the bat, is it too late for you to learn to sing and to sing again as an adult and to find your own creative outlet, your own creative career as an adult? Absolutely not. It is not too late. It is not too late. If you are able to use your voice to speak, you are able to use your voice to sing. And a lot of the times people will say, and like literally like last weekend, someone said to me, um, she's like an older, she's an adult, middle-aged woman, and said to me like, oh, like I just can't sing, like my voice can't do that, like I can't go all the way up there, like I can't go high or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean that you can't sing. Like it just means that maybe your range isn't there yet, or you haven't ever trained to sing in that part of your voice, right? But she has a naturally like lower voice. Like great, we can start there and start with that. And so a lot of times we count ourselves out, especially adults, older adults, younger adults. I'm in my 20s, I'm in my late 20s, but I still see this with people who are in their teens and in their 20s. They will say like, oh, I can't sing, like I've never been able to sing this, da da da. And I'm like, okay, you're under 25, your voice isn't even fully formed yet, honey. We still have a ways to go. So it's not even just about age. Like people in their 50s might say that, but I literally work with teenagers and kids, and they also say the same things, that like, oh, my voice can't do that, or I can't do that. And I'm like, you can't do that yet, but we're going to work on it, or we're going to find a way that makes it work for your unique voice. And so a lot of the times it comes with just like the not knowing and that limiting belief that you can't do it. And if you cling to that belief that you can't do it, then of course you're never going to be able to do it. And so today I want to share with you a little bit about my journey, and to share with you why you can start to sing and how you can start taking steps literally today. Literally right now, after you finish this episode, you can start today. And so for me, a lot of you guys have listened to this episode or this podcast for a while, so you probably have heard this. But for me, I grew up singing. I grew up doing theater, dancing. I loved being an artist. Like growing up, I was just always into the creative things, like whether it was making things or performing, like I just wanted to be creative. And I knew always wanted a creative career and I wanted to own my own business, but I didn't really know what that would look like. So I kind of just like went along with the flow, da da da. Time passed over time. Eventually, I went to college. I studied psychology because I didn't really know what to do, but I liked people and I liked working with people. So I was like, maybe I'll do something in that realm and like minor in music. And I did minor in music for a little bit. I did take voice lessons and stuff like that. Was in choir in college, because I just missed it so much, because I'd done choirs, multiple choirs in high school, and all the things, shows and all the things throughout high school and whatnot. And so I was singing and I was on a worship team and all that stuff in college as well. But I grew up the daughter of Nigerian immigrants. If you guys didn't know, I'm born in the US, but my parents are from Nigeria. And so, when you're the daughter of immigrants, when you are just, in an immigrant family, there are a lot of different like cultural things that you're kind of battling with and torn between. And so for me, I'd always heard like growing up, not even just from my parents, but just like from like church, like my predominantly Nigerian church and my like community that like, oh, there are certain careers that are esteemed, right? Like being a doctor or being da da da. And my parents are in healthcare. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go into healthcare, but I want to do it my way. Like I still want to do music on the side and all that stuff. I want to do the art, something creative on the side, but it was draining me over time. Like I just really did not want to actually be in healthcare. I just wanted to not make anyone mad at me. Basically, I wanted to please everyone and make everyone happy with me. And so I went through this whole journey of going to medical school, getting into medical school, doing the whole MCAT, doing all that journey. That's the whole story. But I did all of that. And at the end of the day, I was absolutely out of my alignment. I know that that is not where God called me to be. I was not mentally, I was not doing well. I was not horrible, but I was not great either. And I just knew that it was not like when you are in prayer all the time, I was fasting, I was praying. Me personally, in my spiritual walk, that is where I know that I needed to be. And when you are in prayer all the time and you know that you are not on the right path, God will make it clear to you. And for me, that is what happened. It was so clear to me. So when I decided to actually leave med school and transition into applying to master's programs in the music and voice space, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just trying things and I was starting to teach voice a little bit here and there. I got a certificate in voice technique and musicianship from Berkeley. And I just knew that I wanted to do something in the arts. And I was really drawn to the performing arts. I had kind of realized that after college that it was going to be something in the performing arts, more so than any other space in the creative industry. So that is where I landed. But the thing for me is that I was singing all this time, but I wasn't really taking my vocal development seriously, especially after college. Like in college, I was taking voice lessons, so I would be doing my warm-ups, I would be doing my all my things, da da da. And then after college, I was like, well, I'm supposed to go to med school now, so I guess I can just do that on the side. And I would sing at church, which was great, and I loved it, but I wasn't really taking it seriously until I was like, no, I actually do want to take this seriously and I do want this to be my career, or I do want to at least make it a little side hobby. And this was like when I was still in college, or sorry, in med school. And I started my podcast as like a creative outlet. And I was also starting to sing more intentionally, a little bit more intentionally. I did like a challenge. I think it was after med school, after I left med school, that I started my challenge on TikTok where I would sing every single day a new musical theater song. And I started to like just do like vocal warm-ups for myself and all that stuff. And I started to train my voice. And I was doing a little bit here and there after college, but I was really like after I left med school that I was like, no, I'm doing this. Like I'm going all in and I'm going to be a performing artist and I'm going to become the best singer I can be. I'm going to become the best performer I could be. I started auditioning, taking dance classes, and also applying for music programs for grad school. So like it was a whole whirlwind. And I know that's like a very tumultuous journey for you hearing. You're probably like, wait, what? Like it's not linear. And I try to like tell it in a linear, clear way. But honestly, I like when I do that, I know I'm missing things because it's just like life is not linear, like at all. And if anyone tells you it is, they're lying. They're hiding things. And I can't tell you every single detail, obviously, of what was happening, but that's the general gist of it. It's like I went through this whole process where it literally took God Himself to speak to me and show me so clearly that I was meant to be in the performing arts space. I was meant to be an artist and also serve other artists. I knew that I wanted to be teaching and be coaching and helping other people uncover their creative gifts because I'd been blessed enough to know from a young age that I wanted to be in the art space and that I loved to perform on stage. But I know that not everyone had that, like felt that from a young age. I also felt from a young age pretty confident when I got on stage. I think it's because I did it a lot when I was really, really young. Like I was always on stage. Like I was always performing at like parties, like birthday party. You know, Africans, we're just gonna like be like, put your children on stage at church, put your children out in front of people at a party or whatever, and just like do a little dance or sing a song or whatever. And like my sister and I would do that together a lot when we were younger. My older sister and I would do that, and then my younger sister joined eventually. And you know what? It just became a thing. Like we just all got very comfortable performing. But I was blessed enough that I had that from a young age. So when it came to me like actually deciding to pursue developing as a singer with intention for my career, there was a little bit of ease already there because I'd done so much growing up in the performing arts space. I already had a level of confidence, but I did have to level up my confidence for sure. And so I share all this to say this is my journey so far. Obviously, there's been a lot more that's happened since then. I got into my master's program. I'm now about to finish my master's program. Praise the Lord. And I am now teaching full-time voice as here in North Carolina as well as online. And I say all that to say is like, I'm now 27. Like, I started this whole thing when I was 23, just turned 23. It's been a journey. It has been a journey. There have been ups and downs. There have been lots of imperfections. And I know that I'm in my 20s. And there are some people who are listening to this who are younger. There are a lot of people listening to this who are older. It doesn't matter. It does not matter the age. I want you to hear the journey because I want you to hear that there's a progression from me making the decision that I'm going to pursue this with intention, point blank and period, even though not everyone was particularly excited about it as much as I was. But eventually everyone came around and understood that this is my path. But it takes you as the adult. You are the adult. You are able to make decisions for your life. And it takes you as a human being to say, put your foot down and say, no, I'm going to do this. I want to be a singer. And can't nobody tell me nothing. Like, I want to be a singer. And I'm going to be intentional about pursuing that, whatever it takes. And then from there, you begin to take small steps of action. But it came first from the decision. And so I want to tell you that if you have the desire to learn to sing, you have the desire to become a singer, you're like me, and maybe you were in a very non-creative path right now, but you know you want to be in the creative space, in the performing arts space. Maybe you're like me, maybe you're in the healthcare space, but you know, because you're listening to this podcast, you know that you're meant to be on a stage somewhere. You know that you're meant to be developing your singing skills. Maybe it's acting, maybe it's dancing. Um, but regardless, can you learn to sing? Yes. Can you decide to find your creative path even as an adult in the performing arts space? Yes. What does it start with? It starts with making that decision. It starts with that turning point of saying, I'm making a decision right now. I'm going to do this. And then, because the thing is, if you have that desire, this is one of my first points that I want to share. If you have that desire to do the thing, it's there for a reason. Why are we ignoring the things that God has put on our hearts? Right? Why are we ignoring the things that are on our hearts constantly that we come back to, that we listen to this podcast and we're like, I don't know why I'm so drawn to this girl, Estelle. Why are you so drawn to this podcast? It's because you know that it's there for a reason and you're meant to be singing. And so, and maybe you are already pursuing this path, but you still have these doubts inside of you. Totally understand. I started pursuing my career in the performing arts space, and I still had doubts, and I still have doubts, right? Not as often, obviously, because I've worked on it, I've developed, but still the doubts come. And so, even when you have made that decision, there might still be doubts. You kind of have to decide over and over and over again. Like, you have to wake up every day and make the decision again. And know that because you have that desire, it is there for a reason. Now it's up to you to decide to take some steps of action. The other thing I want you to know is that you won't know until you try. When it comes to learning how to sing, especially, you will not know if you do not try. A lot of people will say, I've always wanted to sing. I want to sing. I want to sing, but I can't. But like, you can ask them, have you ever signed up for a voice lesson? Have you ever gone to the lesson? Did you go for more than one time? Like, did you go a few times? Right? So that's a good question, right? Because the thing is, like, did you try? Did you go to the dance class? Did you go once? Did you go multiple times? Did you take the acting class? Did you go to the audition? Um, you won't know until you try. You really just won't. And we get in our heads. We get in our heads, especially as people who are like sensitive and empathetic, because or not like empathetic, but like sensitive, right? People who are like, if you're an artist, you're creative, you have a creative kind of spark in you, you probably have a sensitivity. You don't want to, um, we fear rejection. We're human, right? We don't want to be rejected. We don't want to fail. We don't want to mess up. We also don't want to look silly, right? But sometimes when you're pursuing this at the beginning, you look a little silly and you just have to accept that. You have to accept that like people will be like, why are you taking a random voice lesson? Like, what do you mean you're taking a dance class? Okay, well, that's up to you. You get to make the decision. You're an adult. You can make the decision to do it. But it's just like we have to be willing to try, even if we look silly, even if we look a little crazy, even if it's hard. But you really won't know. So don't just ask like or say like I can't learn to sing. I can't do it when you haven't actually tried, you know? Have you given it a real effort? That's what I want to ask. And if you have, then let's go to the next point. Maybe you have started to try a little bit here and there. You've listened to my podcast episodes, you've done some warm ups, and you still just don't feel like your voice is really developing, even though you've been doing my warm ups every single day, which if you aren't doing them every day, go back to point two. You won't know until you try. Do them every day, start to develop your voice, start to train your voice in different areas of it and different aspects of your vocal technique. But then after you've started to try, I also want you to push yourself further to take more steps, small steps of action over time. So you started to try, you've tried a little bit. Great. I'm so like honestly proud of you because that takes a lot of courage just to put yourself out there and try to go to a dance class, to take a voice lesson, even if it's just one. I have a free consultation. Take advantage of that. 15 minutes. You can chat with me. Who was it that I did the other day? She's now taking voice lessons with me consistently, but she started with a 15-minute voice check-in. She's like in college, um, or about to go to college. And like, she just like started with a free voice check-in consultation for like 10 or 15 minutes with me. It's on my website. You can book it anytime. But like she started with that and literally in that lesson, in those 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I warmed her up real quick and she sang a little bit for me and I gave her feedback. If that's all you can afford, you can't afford to pay for an hour of a voice lesson or 30 minutes of a lesson. Take advantage of the fact that some people like me, like some voice teachers might have trial lessons. Just try it and see. Like you're literally just all you're doing is you're investing your time in that case. You're spending 10 minutes to say hi to me and like I can do a little warm up for you and I can help hear you sing and give you feedback. And I can do that real quick because I've been doing this a lot now. I've been doing this a long time now. I'm still growing, I'm still developing, I'm still learning, and I have a lot more to learn. But like I can give you some feedback in 15 minutes and it's going to be helpful. So I just want you to know like if you have taken those steps, you still need to start to take more steps over time. And you have to build those steps, to build and build and build on each other. The last thing I want to mention is that when it comes to singing, singing is muscle memory, okay? And it's also working with your nervous system. So you kind of have to ask yourself if you're like, okay, I really do want to get back into singing. I want to learn to sing for the first time. I want to have my own creative outlet or even career in the performing arts space as an adult. And you realize that, like, okay, you have the desire, it's there for a reason. You're going to make that decision. You're going to try, you're going to take a small step of action, and you're going to start to take more action steps over time, like doing a free voice consultation with me, and then maybe booking a lesson, maybe getting into my Facebook group, asking questions, being proactive about that, right? And then from there, I want you to really ask yourself because you are starting to do the work at this point. You're starting to do the work. But the thing is, what you're doing at this point is you're doing a lot of the muscle memory stuff, right? If you're taking voice lessons, if you're doing the vocal warm-ups, if you are, doing the voice consult with me, we're doing muscle memory stuff. But the other part of it is you also have to ask yourself if you're willing to do the inner work of like really showing your nervous system that it's safe to sing. Because that's another thing I think is that like for adults, because we have maybe in our past, probably definitely in our past, had some sort of situation where we felt like we weren't good enough when it comes to singing. Like you sang something, you sang a solo, and then you heard your friends sing a solo in choir, and they just sounded so much better than you. And you started to tell yourself this narrative that you're just not a good singer, you're not as good as this other person. Okay, great. That's one one story that we're gonna have to unhook from, right? Emotionally and mentally, because that's gonna it's gonna hold you back when you go to sing. You won't know, but subconsciously, that's what's going on. Or maybe you had a situation where you sang on stage and everything was going great, but then your voice cracked because you're a teenager or your voice was still developing, and that happens. And also we're human. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep that night. Maybe you didn't drink enough water. Like so many things can happen, but your voice cracked and that like just scarred you for life. Like that happens. And I laugh because it's like, it feels like so silly, but like actually it's real. It's real, really real. And it digs deep into your subconscious and you will not sing that song again. Or if you sing that song, you get to that note again, you're always going to feel some sort of choking feelings. Like you're gonna feel something around that particular note because of that one time you cracked and you never like worked through it and you never realized that, oh, it's because I'm human or because of this, da, da, da. Maybe you never really worked through it mentally. And so we have to be willing to also show our nervous systems and work through the mental aspect of and the spiritual aspect too, like connecting with the fact that God gave you that gift, right? Doing that inner work is so important. And if we don't do that inner work, we're always going to tell ourselves, I can't learn to sing because I'm 50 years old, because I'm 60 years old, because I'm in my 30s and I'm too busy and I don't have time. Well, we have to do that inner work to rewrite those stories. And so that's another aspect of it is that even though singing is muscle memory, we also have to work with our nervous systems. We also have to do the inner work of like asking ourselves what's actually holding me back and why do I really think that I can't sing? And is it actually true? Is it actually true? Is it actually true that I don't have time? Or can I be like this? There is one person in my Facebook group who listens to the podcast all the way from Australia and was talking about how like all these things are going on in her life as like a wife, a mother, like all these things. And also like listens to my podcast, like and like does the warm-ups while doing other things. And I'm like, yes, please do that. Please do your laundry and wash your dishes and like drive to work and do your workout while also doing my like listening to my podcast and being inspired and doing the warm-ups at the same time while you're driving. Like please do because it's something that you can do with intention. Like obviously it's better to maybe have like be in a quiet space where you're not doing anything else, but I know that life is life and that's not always possible. So the fact is that you have to be able to ask yourself like is this really true? Like is it really true that I can't learn to sing? Is it really true that I can't pursue this creative thing? Or is there a limiting belief that's holding me back? And that's where the mindset work comes in. So these are just a few things that I want you to think about when it comes to learning to sing and finding your creative path as an adult. Number one, first thing that I mentioned is that you have to decide. You have to make the decision. If you do not decide, if you don't decide, like you're not gonna move forward at all. You have to decide. Number two is if you have that desire, you have to know that it's for a reason. And that's kind of like the reason to decide. It's like knowing that that desire is there for a reason. Number three, you won't know until you try. You have to take one step. Start with one step where you are trying to see if you can start to learn to sing. Start with a voice lesson. Start with a voice check-in with me. Start with a vocal warm-up track that you listen to, Start with one audition if that's where you are. But you have to try. And then from there, take small steps of action over time. So you started with one thing, great. Now start to add on a few more little teeny tiny steps over time. And then the last thing I want you to think about and remember is that you have to be willing to work with your nervous system and be aware of the mindset that you're having. Be aware of the limiting beliefs that you're having that maybe need to be switched, okay? That you got to rethink through. And so those are some things I want you to think about when it comes to if you're questioning if it's too late to learn to sing, if you're able to learn to sing. I hope that hearing my story, I know that like my story is going to differ from yours. It's going to be different from every single person listening. Some of you guys are in your 50s, some of you guys are in your 30s, some of you guys have kids, some of you guys have full-time jobs, some of you guys have all sorts of things going on. You're in college, right? I'm in a different situation from you. And yet, I have students in college who are also taking voice lessons, right? I have students in their mid 20s. I've had students in their 60s, right, who've reached out to me about voice lessons and actually done them. And so I want you to know that it is possible. It is possible. It's possible. Make the decision. Know that that desire that you have is for a reason, my dear, my dear. It's for a reason, and you won't know until you try. So it's just start small and then take small steps of action over time and then remember to reframe your thoughts, work with your nervous system, and question the limiting beliefs that you have in your mind. Are those limiting beliefs, are those things actually true? Not that I want to say that they're excuses, but are they actually true? Are they actually real? Or is there a solution that you can work through? And so that's all I want to say there. I know this was a long episode. I feel like I owe you guys one since I didn't give you a Thursday episode. So this was kind of a longer episode, more chatty, less of me like giving you points to do and things to do, like some of my other episodes where I give singing tips. But I just wanted to have this conversation to just encourage you that it is not too late. It's not too late. Again, I've had students in their 60s, I've had students in their 30s, 40, like every single, like almost every decade I can think of. Young kids, teenagers, college students, young adults, like you are welcome. You are welcome to this space of singing. Like you can do it, or dancing or acting or performing in whatever way. But you can find your creative path as an adult. I've done it and I did it very drastically. But you know what? I guess that's what your 20s are for. But the fact is that you can still, like, who cares? Even if you're 50s, you can still be drastic and go to a dance class and go to a singing lesson and have fun with it. And you know what? If you want to take a class, but you don't want to do a one-on-one lesson, I would actually love to know that, because I'm really thinking ahead to the summer and I would love to do group classes in person in North Carolina for those of you who are local, as well as online. But I want to know who would actually go. Like, do you actually want to be in a voice class where you get to kind of go back to how it was when you were younger and you got to sing with other people but in a lovely environment, not in a competitive, unkind, scary environment, but in a safe, all are welcome environment where we'll be singing together, doing warm-ups together, learning a song together, and then you get to have the opportunity to sing and get feedback on your voice from me, the coach, as well as some encouraging classmates. And if that's something that you'd be interested in, I would love to know. So I would love for you to sign up for my waitlist. It's a waitlist for group classes to come this summer. Super, super, super low stakes. You don't have to actually sign up for anything. This is just for me to know who's interested. So it's kind of like an interest forum / waitlist where I'm going to tell you guys once I open classes, like you guys will be the first to know. So you can go to creativelybyestelle.com/collective if you'd be interested in that. creativelybyestelle.com/collective. And I'd love to just hear from you if you're interested in group classes, group singing classes online or in person. creativelybyestelle.com/collective. You also know where to find the community group. I already mentioned that earlier, and all the things are on my website. If you have any concerns about doing a consultation or a private lesson, it's all on my website. But I would just love, love, love for you to fill out that form about group classes if you are interested, because I want to hear from you guys, my loyal podcast listeners. You guys are my people. I want to hear from you. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope that this inspired you, blessed you, encouraged you, that it is not too late. You can learn to sing even right now. You can find your creative path and you can start today, quite literally right now. Take that first step, decide and take that first step. Join my Facebook group. Sign up for the voice check-in, whatever it is, make a decision and start today. What is one thing that you can do today? I want you to go do it. And I'm right here cheering you on all the way. You already know I'm cheering you on. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you so, so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the Performing Arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so, so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.